Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of 10th Inning Talk. I'm your girl April, also known as All About April 3 on all social media platforms, and I am here to deliver the latest in both collegiate and professional softball and baseball news. But I am not the only person delivering this kind of content. You also want to tune into my colleague, Flobo Boyce. He has a brand new podcast episode today called In the Booth with former Major League Baseball player Jerry Blevins. Now, Jerry also is a sports analyst for the New York Mets. So just something to keep in mind. You also want to finish your breakfast with my guy Cheats, who posts this content on both Instagram and YouTube. And then, of course, check the Black Baseball Mixtape online. There are some great articles on there for you to tune into. But without further ado, let's hop into episode 11, which I have titled All About the College World Series and Welcome to the AUSL. Listen, this has been a pretty outstanding week of baseball, if I do say so myself, and softball, which is exactly what we are going to be beginning with, because the greatest show on dirt took us all the way to Oklahoma City with the Women's College World Series. And not only did the ladies show out, but the ladies also broke records. I think one peak record was at like 2.4 million. There were also sold out crowds. Like I saw people on Twitter saying that they were trying to get tickets and they literally couldn't. And these are professional people, are a couple of people who maybe have played. So that is saying a lot about the dynamics of women's sports, how attractive it is, but also everyone watches women's sports. So I'm really, really happy to know that this is a dynamic that is shifting in the positive direction, but also the right direction. Now, as far as the Women's College World Series, the finals took place between both Texas and Texas Tech, and it was just a great showing. It was the first time for Texas Tech to reach the actual finals. However, for the University of Texas, I think they had made it to the Women's College World Series the past 3 out of 4 times. But this time, they were successful in winning the College World Series. So congratulations to the University of Texas for winning and for just putting on a great performance. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think pitcher Tegan Cavan gave up 1 run. I could be wrong, but she really pitched her heart out. And we know with my last podcast episode, I talked about her grandmother passing away. So it's great that she was able to honor her that way in her absence. But we also got to talk about third baseman Mia Scott, because no fly zone completely enacted on the left side of the field. A ball was not getting through that way. And what made this even better is that she's doing this on technically one knee. So word on the street is she had a torn ACL. And she literally shows a picture of herself, did it on one knee. Like, girl, you really like that. Now, you know how social media is, because people literally went online and were like, do y'all really believe she was playing on one knee? Because I couldn't even do any of that. First of all, you're not a woman. Let's start there. And yes, I absolutely believe that she was playing with one knee / torn ACL. Why do I believe this? Every month, I am a woman. I know the struggles of what it is to get out of the bed and to go to work. So I don't put any of that past her. But I do also want to mention that Major League Soccer is actually doing a study right now on the fact that there are so many ACL injuries of women who play the sport, but they think a big contributing factor is women's cycles, our hormones. And I'm very interested to see exactly where this study will take us, because that is going to lead to so many other things that women have been talking about, complaining about for years. Many of us have talked about paid time off, PTO, during that time of the month. But if you think that I'm lying, go to TikTok and pull up period simulation videos. You will see men hurled over at the turn of a dial at 2. And women are literally at the highest one and like, what is this? This is nothing. This is really nothing. So yeah, I absolutely believe her, but let's pay very close attention to this study, because I think that this is gonna have large ramifications for women in all sports, not just soccer. So softball, basketball, tennis, etc., and what this will look like for women in the workplace. Now, if you enjoyed watching Mia Scott, that is the last time that you are going to see her on a softball field, because she is giving up the cleats for a life outside of softball. She has declared she will not be playing softball at all anymore. That's right. So, from what I understand, the AUSL Athletes Unlimited Softball League, they really wanted her to play, and she was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm done. I've done my time, but this is just not something that I think I want to continue doing. And so her career ends there. But what a way to be able to end your career, both offensively and defensively. So I just thought that that was just something to highlight, because we've talked a lot about other players, but it was good to see her end on that high moment. Now, after this game ends, Texas Tech coach Jerry Glasgow is actually in an interview, and he is discussing what a lot of people have been discussing on social media: Nigeri Kennedy's NIL deal. And he brought up a phenomenal point, and I'm actually very happy that it came up from a man, because I'm going to say some things, but I definitely think that a man, especially a man who is coaching, those words are going to have a whole lot more weight. And what Jerry Glasgow brought up was that, why are we talking about how much money she made? I don't know how much money players from Ohio State make, and we don't keep it 100. You know that they've been getting money for years. I will speak specifically on LSU. I do not know how much money Kate Anderson gets from NIL deals. I don't know how much money Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback for LSU, makes. I don't know any of that. I do know how much money former gymnast for LSU, Livy Dunn, has made. I know how much money Flau'jae Johnson has made. I even know, we even talked about how much money Angel Reese made in the past. There is obviously a difference in how people look at these situations between men and women, and it is something that needs to be addressed. Even if she made $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, why is this a complete topic of conversation, besides the fact that it is moving softball in a positive, more acceptable direction? Meaning, we are acknowledging and accepting the fact that women deserve to be paid their worth. Which also leads me to the fact in saying that it is totally okay and acceptable for Nigeri Kennedy to make a choice to leave one school and go to another based on whatever reason she chooses to. She does not owe us an explanation for why she did that. It was a choice that she felt was best for her, and that's the end of the story. I do not like the comment where people are saying that Texas Tech bought championships. No, Texas Tech provided an environment for players where they felt accepted and rewarded for their play. That is why she went there. And for people who are just coming to the party, you're a little late. One of the reasons why, and I talked about this on my last episode, she left Stanford was she was not able to fully be a two-way player. She was not able to both bat and pitch. This is something that Texas Tech was offering to her. So when we talk about jobs and NILs, and I will say for me, when people leave one job to go to another for pay, sometimes, yes, y'all criticize people. You need to go ahead and stop that. Stop it right now. It is okay for people to make decisions that better their lives, especially if it happens to do with money. Have you been outside? Have you seen how expensive life is? Eggs, gas, milk, bread, life, breathing, all of that. But none of that even matters. A topic of conversation is not necessary for anyone choosing to better his or her life in any capacity. And I'm very happy that Jerry Glasgow called that out on the spot. Now, listen, I was watching Duke versus Murray State last night, and Duke lost to Murray State, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. The Duke coach is going to Virginia. He is not being dragged on the internet the way Najee was for accepting her NIL deal. And her NIL deal was mostly because, again, she wasn't allowed to be the player that would give her the ability to perform at her highest level. If the Duke coach left for that reason, okay, but nobody is giving him heat for doing that. And he did it the day after his team lost. But that's another conversation for another day, because that means that y'all been talking before all that and you may not have been fully focused. So anywho, but I just wanted to make sure that we are giving everyone the opportunity to succeed in the ways that they need to, especially women athletes. So with the change and the momentum of seeing women making more money in these spaces, we also need to be able to accept the fact that the money is going to come with it along with the decisions. And sometimes we just have to be okay with those decisions, even if it does not work best for you. Okay? Now, what does work best for me is the fact that the very next day after the Women's College World Series ended, AUSL began. Athletes Unlimited Softball League began their inaugural season on Saturday, June 7th, and a time was had. Y'all, the games were completely sold out in both Kansas and Illinois. And I saw videos. I also saw pictures of the lines, and it was beautiful to see people showing up and showing out to be able to support something that we've wanted for such a long time. And I know that this is just the beginning of such a beautiful thing, but what a way to be able to begin your season in that kind of way. And they had tons of activities and things for the fans while they were there. And this is another way to both engage and allow us to feel welcome as we begin this brand new journey within the softball world. Now, if you missed my last podcast episode, you want to make sure that you tune into that because I go all in on the 4 teams, which are the Talons, the Bandits, the Volts, and the Blaze. So yes, those are the 4 inaugural teams. You want to tune into the last episode because I do get into players who are on each team, which will probably help you to decide which team you want to be officially yours. I was able to tune in to the games, which take place on MLB.com, MLB.TV, MLB Network, and ESPN2. So ESPN does not have them on the app yet. ESPN, get it together. But I'm sure that is going to come soon. I will be posting regularly on my Instagram stories about it so that you don't miss any of the games. I'm also regularly posting on TikTok and my YouTube shorts to give you the ability and the advantage to be able to watch all of the games. So, for example, on Tuesday, June 10th, the Talons and the Bandits will conclude their very first series at 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN2. But as I was watching this weekend, it was just great seeing players like Aaliyah Andrews out in center field making some phenomenal plays. It was also great to see Alicia Ocasio back on the mound, her and Odyssey Alexander. And I felt a moment of nostalgia, even as a former softball player, to grow up and know that this is a moment that exists for some of my students who play softball. And I know that they're going to hope and pray that this is something that they can ultimately strive to be able to have once they get older. So I love that there are options within the softball world. It doesn't just end when your collegiate career ends as well. Now, on this weekend in particular, on June 12th, they will be playing in Lake Charles, Louisiana. They have it listed as Sulphur, but I'm a Louisiana girly, so I'm calling it Lake Charles. And LSU women's basketball coach Kim Mulkey will actually be delivering the first pitch. So if you are anywhere near you want to make sure that you get you a ticket so that you can watch and just see all that is to come with the AUSL. Their social media team is really good. And I love how they're very interactive. They're very constant. So just make sure you're logged in to access all that is available. Softball is great, and so is baseball, which leads us to the final part of this particular episode. The greatest show on dirt is taking us back to Omaha. That's right. The 8 teams have officially punched their tickets to Omaha, Nebraska, and a time will be had beginning this weekend on Friday. All right. Now, who are the 8 teams who have punched their tickets to Omaha? Before I list those 8 teams, there's a very interesting fact about these teams. Not one of the teams who are heading to Omaha played in the 2024 World Series, which was ultimately won by the University of Tennessee. So yeah, this is actually fantastic, but college baseball hasn't had a consecutive winner in a very long time. If I'm not mistaken, I think maybe the University of South Carolina in like 2010, 2011. So yeah, they're going to carry that tradition on. But for the past few years, it has been an SEC winner. But this year, there are only 2 SEC teams who have made it to Omaha. Now, who are these 8 teams? They are Louisville, Oregon State, who've been playing some phenomenal baseball. Murray State for their very first time. So I would like to call them the Cinderella story of the College World Series of 2025. Coastal Carolina, who won it in 2016. UCLA, Arizona, the University of Arkansas, and then, of course, the Louisiana State University. Yes, I'm very, very excited about all of the teams that have made it, and I'm just excited to be able to watch some good baseball. So, when should you be tuning in? You need to tune in beginning of Friday because game one will be on ESPN between Coastal Carolina and Arizona. And then game two will be at 6 p.m. also on ESPN. Excuse me, also on ESPN. And that game will be Oregon State versus Louisville. Now, all the games this weekend, Friday and Saturday, will be held on ESPN. And these times are Central Time. So Saturday, games also begin at 1 p.m. with UCLA versus Murray State. And then the primetime game, the game that I think everybody is watching out for, is going to be LSU versus the University of Arkansas at 6 p.m. So a lot of people have asked me, who do I think is going to win the College World Series? LSU. Now, it's not just because they're my school. Before the College World Series began, I actually said that I thought the winner would be LSU or Arkansas. And I've watched a good bit of baseball from both of them. And I think that both of them have the teams to be able to go the extra mile. For LSU, you have who will most likely be the number 1, 2, or 3 draft pick in Cade Anderson. You have Anthony Ianson, who's great. You also have the Bats, who have come to life from players who had been iced out a little bit during the regionals and super regionals, and they're happening at the right moments. So I'm really excited to see exactly what this is going to look like in Omaha. Now, the last time LSU and Arkansas met up, LSU won that series. So, and this was when Arkansas was going on a little tear. They was beating everybody. So I do think that this is going to be a great matchup. But as we know, on any given day, it's anybody's game. And that is the beauty of the College World Series. I can say and think that LSU will win, but the momentum, the drive, the desire, all of that plays a role in what will happen beginning this weekend. So make sure that you are tuned in to everything that is happening. Again, I will be posting on my stories. I will be talking on TikTok and my YouTube shorts all about this because I want to make sure that you don't miss the high moments. Now, again, I ain't forgot about Major League Baseball. We actually have the Dodgers and the Padres going through a great series right now. But one of the beauties of college baseball and softball is getting to watch young people play to accomplish their dreams. They have worked so hard and played travel ball for many, many years. And this is the peak of their success before they become professionals in both softball and baseball. And I think it's just a great moment to be able to see that drive and that passion one last time before they hang up the cleats in this particular world and move on to the professional world. So if you have never watched a collegiate World Series, there is no time like the present to get yourself involved, get in front of a TV, make it to Omaha, or go to a sports bar to be able to watch. Now, I'm gonna be there next year. I'm gonna be in Oklahoma City. I'm gonna be in Omaha. I'm just gonna go on ahead and claim it right now. All right, on this episode 11, I'm gonna be there. I saw a chick on Twitter. She was like, she bought her tickets a long time ago. She knew LSU was gonna be there. So I'm gonna have that same kind of faith right now and just going ahead and call it. And we can touch and agree together on this episode of exactly what's going to happen. But if you're not excited about the Men's College World Series, didn't watch the Women's College World Series, or haven't watched the AUSL, there's no time like the present to watch two of the three and to just get yourself immersed in some great ball. So thank y'all for tuning in to 10th Inning Talk. Can't wait to chat with you online. Don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms. Don't forget to check out my guy, Flobo Boyce, and his new podcast episode, In the Booth. Make sure you finish your breakfast with my guy Cheats on Instagram and YouTube. And also check out the Black Baseball mixtape online for all of the articles. And I'll tell y'all, one of my favorite articles on there is the jersey one, because you know the City Connect jerseys, very controversial. So going ahead and check that one out because it's a really good one. And it's a great day to be a softball and a baseball fan. Bye, y'all.